Hello everyone, this is Tim, and this is going to be a flip-through review of Changeling the Lost, a storytelling game of beautiful madness. I love this cover on here. It's so shimmery and shiny. You got the sort of dead butterfly there impaled on the thorn of a hedge. But yeah, I'm just going to flip through here and just show you a little bit about the book. I have some random thoughts as I go. I love the green and black. You start out with some fiction, what Alec Bourbon said. Yeah, a lot of the White Wolf books have these sort of intros. And then you get to the thank you section, the credits, table of contents. And we'll keep going here. So look at these illustrations. It's like that dark black and green. It's very, I don't know. It just speaks to me. I'll just say that. I get the large letter there. Intro, and yes, as you can see, I have committed a grave sin in the RPG world. I've used highlighters. The one thing about White Wolf books is that, at times, a lot of the info that you need is sort of tucked away on these walls of text. So you need to sort of point things out to yourself, let yourself know where things are, when you're running a game. Here's a section on, sources of inspiration and the lexicon. Things like, Arcadia is the domain of the true fae. Courts, talks about dreams, hobgoblins, things that live in the hedge. Echoes, fairies, freeholds, places like cities in the hedge. Again, more of that nice dark black and green art. Monochromatic green, I guess. Talks about Arcadia, the true fae, and how messed up and alien they are. Talks about being stolen and taken away to Arcadia, your endurance, the time that you spend in Arcadia and how it changes you. And again, more of this nice art. Talks about going home again, your fetches, the things that replace you while you're in Arcadia. Your family members think that you're still there, but you're not. Contact, basically just the first contact things you bump into when you go into the hedge, when you get to back to the real world. Trying to come back to your family after you've got horns and ears. There's all kinds of different things in here. The hedge, talk about changelings. How do you come back to a life where you've changed and time has passed quickly or slowly, depending on your individual case. Changelings are paranoid. They've had things done to them in the past, so they're trying to get along with one another. That's probably what makes it kind of a hard thing to run a campaign in some ways, because of the lack of trust. But being scared of the Fae coming back and taking you home to Arcadia is something that can hold them together. Freeholds, another thing here, and it's important to note that even though you might have horns or you have slime all over you, depending on what kind of situation you're in, humanity just looks at you and sees a sort of guise, a veil over what you actually look like. Talks about mortal society, the courts, and how they're based on seasons, the 4 seasons. And then it goes in and talks about the various courts, spring, the antler crown, the emerald court, the court of desire, and they're all attached to certain emotions. Talks about the mantle thing that sort of describes you in some way. Talks about desire. Summer, the iron spear, the crimson court, the court of wrath. And these are interesting to read through. I've made sure to photocopy these all out for the characters, the player characters when I ran it. Autumn, the leaden mirror, the ashen court, the court of fear. And I think this is probably one of my favorite ones. That or winter. Winter's pretty cool too. The silent arrow, the onyx court, the court of sorrow. Just goes through and tells you a little bit about those. Those who are courtless, who have not subscribed to the spring or any of the seasonal courts. More talks about the fetch, the true fae. I mean, look at that thing. And that was basically your master for a long time in Arcadia, twisting you, changing you. There's a lot of flexibility with the true fae. You can have all kinds of crazy endurances, horrible things that have happened to you, and it can be very different from one another. Changelings versus changelings, the loyal, the ones that are crazy, spend too much time in the hedge, like the soulless, the ones that are just fanatical. And the thing that's a little daunting about probably Changeling is that you can do so much with it. You can spend time in the hedge, you can spend time in the real world, you can spend time in dreams. Again, more art, no trespassing. So it can be a little daunting, I think, to get together a chronicle and run it for people. It goes through character creation, concept, attributes, skills, skill specialties, and then you add the Changeling template. And again, this is New World of Darkness, so you need the World of Darkness core rulebook to play it, but yeah, they give you a lot of steps on how to build your character. Weird is sort of like the power stat. Merits, kind of like feats for D&D, but if you're familiar with New World of Darkness, they're not a surprise. Advantages, talks about willpower, clarity. Glamour is like the power that you spend. You basically, you're like psychic vampires. You're draining emotions from people and situations and funneling that into magic. Quick reference for characters and character creation, experience points. Talks about the prelude. If you've read any World of Darkness book, you're going to see that again. There's lots to talk about preludes. More as an example for character creation, some questions to flesh out your character a little bit more. Talks about weird. The more you have, the faster you can generate glamour. You can incite bedlam. You get a little bit crazy if you get too high on it, though. So it has a limiting factor. Again, more art. Looks like he's inciting bedlam. Here's the drawbacks of visibility, addiction, frailties. You get like certain weaknesses against certain things, like cold iron. Talks about glamour. Again, lots of highlighting. Clarity is sort of your humanity rating, your morality rating, I guess. It's a little different. I think I prefer this over just the standard New World of Darkness because it's almost like a sanity mechanic. So bringing some Call of Cthulhu's kind of flavor to it. Talks about drawbacks, more merits to help you out with that. Ways to harvest things, hollow place to live in the hedge. Mantle what you look like, especially compared or when looked at by other changelings. You have new identity, so get your driver's license and stuff figured out. This is one of the this page right here, page 99, has two of the most powerful quotes that I found for Changeling. As someone once said, "That which does not kill us makes us stranger as well as stronger, and the changes wrought upon us by the traumas we have suffered leave a mark that is both a reminder of pain and a badge of honor, the proof of survival, the ability to truly understand the sufferings of others." So that's one of my favorite quotes, and here's the second one. A person can be destroyed by a traumatic experience, or can rise above it to become a person whose strengths are defined and proven by the refinement of suffering through acceptance and growth. So those sort of passages there seem to elevate above like an RPG book for me. I got a folded page here, and then it goes through and talks a little bit about the different types of changelings you can be. Beasts, big burly guys, but there's different kiths, just different things that they're sort of underneath the umbrella of beasts. But I love these illustrations here. There's lots of ideas you could probably crib from just the illustrations alone. Darklings, probably one of my favorite. Creepy, crawly, slimy, slithering, that sort of stuff. Elementals, you think like fiery djinn type things, and there's different names for all of them. Again, I love the illustrations. Fairest, these are like your like dolls and very pretty social type characters. Ogres, big and burly again. Again, just wonderful illustrations. And what's funny about this game, The Wizened, is that there's lots of different ways you can interpret the way your character looks. So you can't be like painted into a corner, so you have a lot of freedom there. Talking about contracts, which is like the powers that you get, how you roll them, what you need, dramatic failure, and just contracts of hearth, all kinds of different types. Mirror, more illustrations, smoke, and artifice, and a lot of some of these are associated with the different things that your changeling could be. But there's lots of different things to put on the character sheet, so at times, again, it can be a little daunting. Again, look at that, nice little fire. Fang and Talon. So this contract section is a pretty big thing. You got the light post there. Vainglory. And there's different contracts for the various courts. You know, the spring, summer, fall, winter. Again, more illustrations. I love the thorny hedge all the way around the outside too. Summer. So again, big section. I tend to photocopy a lot for my players whenever I run this kind of stuff. So if you have like you know, various contracts or various things, I'll try to photocopy them. Goblin contracts, you sort of like, they have a boon, but they have something that can harm you as well. And they're a little, I guess balance is a good way to put it. It talks about supernatural conflicts, some of the things you can deal with, some of the other World of Darkness things. Me personally, though, when I tend to run World of Darkness games, I try to limit the number of supernaturals that there are. Again, more awesome illustrations here. I just love White Wolf art, especially the dark ones. Dark art, black and white. This is nice too because it's monochromatic. Talks about your mask, the things, the way that you show your face to others. Talks about damage and healing. Cold iron. Pledges. Pledges are a little bit of a pain in the butt. I would probably rework them if I ever ran this again, which I hope to someday. But they can be a little, you know, a little complex to try to figure out. It seems like you need to have a. Here's a section: building a pledge. You need to have either a background in being a lawyer or something, but they do have some sample oaths and pledges, which are nice. So you can just kind of base things off of that. Talks about dreams and dream shaping, getting in someone else's head while they sleep. So you could just run an entire chronicle about that. Ownermancy, hanging out in someone's head, dreaming, dream riding them, dreamscaping. It's you know, dream weaving. There's all kinds of different options you can do here. As you see, I went a little crazy with the with the highlighter. You got tokens. These are sort of like items that you can have, and you need like background dots for this kind of thing. So there's, you know, 1, 2, 3 dot tokens, 4 dot. So some of them are pretty powerful. 5 dot. Trifles are sort of like, you know, throwaway little magic items, like one use only. And then we'll get into the hedge. What's nice about the hedge is that there's all this fantastical stuff that is just really through a doorway that you find in the mortal world. So you have that nice juxtaposition of the real world and then all this fantasy stuff going on in the background. Just so close to each other. You know, it does different things to you. You can, the hedge shapes itself based on your mood and thoughts. So you really can have a lot of fun describing what's going on, getting lost, how you're going to navigate through it. There's trods or main roads through the place that you can find, but they're often, you know, walked by the true fae, so you don't really want to get captured again. So it's a very dangerous, dark, twisted place, but there's also, you know, fun stuff there to interact with. Very bizarre stuff. You can get really surreal with it. The thorns tear at you and rip at your clarity, your sanity. There's goblin fruits that you can eat that do different things. Different abilities you can get because of those. You can carry so many of them. There's rules for dueling, different threats. Again, the true fae, other changelings, hobgoblins that naturally live there. All kinds of stuff. Again, more lovely illustrations. I really do like when games have a big illustration at the start of a new chapter. So this is storytelling, talking about wonder and horror, how you can mix the two, you know, beautiful madness, understanding what a changeling goes through, something that's a little bit different than the true fae, your seeming, that's the way you look, the way, you know, the way you are, your court, perceptions on what's going on, and basically talking about like what city you're going to base your chronicle in. In the back of here, they deal with Miami, and a lot of the changeling stuff does, but that wouldn't stop you from doing it in your own hometown or some place that you've always wanted to go to and can't really get there. It talks about story structures, characters, filling things out, fleshing out the characters, fleshing out your setting, fleshing out your city, different chronicle suggestions, like diaries, and making sure you spread the spotlight, including romance, different ideas, losing the path, the devil's own, the dream oracle, the nightmare stone, all kinds of stuff. Fetches. I really like the idea of fetches. They're just a combination of sticks and leaves and whatever junk they can find, and then they make it look like you used to. I like the idea of going up and trying to find your fetch and challenging them, maybe taking over for them, but there's also that idea that your fetch is actually living your life better than you would, and your family's happy, so maybe you should just leave them there and start a new life. So there's lots of things like that that come up in Chronicles. It talks about how to make the fetch, the magic that they have, the ability to sense whenever their changeling is coming near. What's cool about the fetches, too, you can even, if you really want to do something different, you could run characters that are actually fetches, and then they realize that their real self is out there whenever they come around. So that can be kind of a strange, different take on a chronicle if you want to do that. Different antagonists, the changelings, the lost, madmen. There's hounds that run through the hedge, and different things in here. Just some NPCs to use. Different things, lots of NPCs. They have some of like the vampires, and so they have hobgoblins in here, briar wolves, those are fun to use in a hedge. Their house sort of reverberates through. different creepy threats like this. Little girl with the shadowy hands coming out, and there's a section on the True Fae, how twisted, and they don't have a lot on the True Fae. I think they're in another Splat book, but they give you enough of an idea, and really you just need to use your twisted imagination to come up with things that are alien, non-human, they don't have empathy, and really it's just their entertainment. That's the only thing that they are concerned about. Nice picture of a goblin market, and those are fun too, because they can switch, and they'll sell you things for memories or emotions or very, very other intangible things. How to use them. Different story hooks at the Goblin Market. Another beautiful illustration. I just love that green and black. I'm sure I've said that enough already, but we have some entitlements, which is like a very high level sort of power that you can add to things, and just different groups and organizations that you can be a part of. The Bishopric of Blackbirds. I love that illustration there. The College of Worms. Check that guy out. He's cool. Looks like a wizened, perhaps. They all have like bonuses and drawbacks and things. Duchy of the Icebound Heart. Emo-looking guy there, maybe in a rock band. The Magistrates of the Wax Mask. Just look how creepy that dude is. Those little arms and wax on his face. Margravate of the Brim. And I have yet to use these entitlements. Sacred Band of the Golden Standard. My chronicle lasted for about, I'd say about 6 to 8 sessions. So, Satrapy of Pearls. The Scarecrow Ministry. Look at that dude. He who walks behind the rose, maybe. The Toll Taker Knighthood. All kinds of stuff back here. How do you to create an entitlement? And again, another beautiful illustration there. I think this is one of the last sections. Okay, this is the Freehold of Miami. And the one I ran, I did actually use Miami. There's lots of interesting ideas in here. I've never really been down to Miami, so it was kind of fun to explore an area of the world that I have yet to be to. It talks about Miami today, the courts, how they work, how summer is sort of taken over and isn't really allowing the change of the guard. Usually they roll in, a fourth of the year and have the other courts take over, but down here the summer has basically just said, nope, we're going to run things and you're going to like it, or we're going to kill you or kick you out. Different NPCs. I love the various character illustrations. A lot of Miami flavor. Man, look at this guy. And the symbol for Changeling is pretty cool too. Kind of like a jagged skull with thorns around it. And then the index. And where contracts, pledges, and tokens can be found. Pledges, tokens. Then at the end we have character sheet Very simple, laid out. Get your skills, mental, physical, social, all your attributes, concept, seeming, kith, court, health, willpower, glamour, weird, contracts, pleasures, flaws, merits, etc. Advertisement for Autumn Nightmares. And there are other books for Changeling. There's a limited amount of them, so it's actually not too hard to collect them all. You like Pokemon? And then the back of the book. Then you have the back of the book, the nice little, again, same cover as before, very shiny. You remember your home. You remember what it was like before they took you. The sound of your family's voices, the smell of your home, the colors of your neighborhood. Even after the blinding glories and pitiless dark wastes of Fairy, you remember. Your memories were a beacon. Without them you would never have found your way back through the twisted maze of the thorns, to collapse, torn and exhausted, on the cool earth of the world you were born in once more, to find that your home was no longer yours, that an impostor has taken over your life, that you have been changed. Yours is beauty and grotesquerie, illusion and iron, insight and madness. Where will you go now that you are lost? Who will you love? Who will you war against? Who will you make of yourself? How will your tale end? Changeling Lost, one of my favorite books.